Good morning, folks, and welcome back to my podcast. This is George Nathaniel for you. As I always do, I come back with very simple topics that relates to each one of you. It relates to our lives, it relates to betterment, it relates to progress, and relates to things that we've been hearing all through our lives. Well, what is my topic for today? Well, I have a very simple topic for today. It's something that we've been experiencing all through our lives. It's the biggest challenge in our lives. Well, the topic is how tough is tough. Well, tough is tough in itself. And now, if we have to gather how tough is tough, that is going to become a big challenge. Well, let us look at it in a very lighter way. Let me begin with a few words that have been shared a long time. We keep hearing, we keep hearing from almost everybody, we keep reading everywhere. The tough is about falling down number of times and gathering back. Well, definitely it is. But let us look at tough in a bigger, wider aspect of our lives. It definitely has a bigger meaning, it has a bigger scope, it has a bigger thought process, something that we can actually relate and gather about. So, folks, let me start by asking when is the last time? When's the last time that we had to gather our toughness? Well, for some, it could have been a while back. For some, maybe they could just be thinking. They could get into the thinking process. For some, it could be just prior to listening to this podcast or reading my blog. Well, folks, tough is in every moment of our life. Tough is a parcel of time. Tough is something that takes us a long time. I am giving you something to think about. So, folks, let us relate to our daily routines to understand. This is a very simple process for us to actually see, relate, and understand the bigger, wider meaning of tough or being tough in our life, or to relate or to evaluate how tough is tough. I'm being very, very generic, I'm being very simple, and I'm being very specific to maybe one very small portion of how tough is tough. So, folks, let us relate to our daily routines. Let us understand maybe a few very basic and simple processes that we go through in our daily routines. Well, let us understand how many new initiatives or adaptations do we take up in a day? Well, they could be numerous for others, they could be numerous for all, they could be numerous for myself. How many of these initiatives or changes needs dedicated time and attention during the course of the day over the period of our lives? Well, that's another bigger challenge. How big are our goals, our challenges, or aspirations in life? So, folks, I'm just referring to three simple questions to understand how tough is tough and being very limited to the course of what we are discussing about. So, folks, as we sit down and relate to our personal, professional, or our lives in all wellness and progress, let us understand that when I'm talking about new initiatives or adaptations to take up in life, when I'm talking about these adaptations or initiatives that needs dedicated time and attention to grow our lives, when I'm talking about these initiative or adaptations that take us to our goals or challenges or bigger levels in our lives, well, let us understand a few other things that relate to it. How much more can we do? How much more can we achieve? How much bigger or how much more can we delight ourselves with the course of time? So, folks, how tough is actually tough? How tough is tough it all depends on how much of efforts or initiatives we take on by ourselves. How big are our challenges? How big are our initiatives? How big are our efforts? So when I'm talking about maybe the most smallest, minutest topic on how tough is tough, we see there's so much more we can do. We see that there's so much progress we can actually go ahead. We see that there's so much more we can excel or achieve. There's so much more we can gather for ourselves. So, folks, the next time when we talk about how tough is tough, let us understand how much of efforts are we actually putting in over the course of the day. How much are we growing over every new day? And how much are we challenging ourselves to take us to the next level? How much are we contributing in our wellness and progress? So, folks, I'm being very, very generic, but it's a super topic to think about. It's a super topic to relate about. It's a super topic to engage with. And of course, it benefits each one of us in all our efforts, in all our goals, in all our achievements. So the next time when we talk about how tough is tough, or next time when we relate how tough is tough, it all relates to our own course of action. How much of efforts we actually putting in? How much are we driving ourselves? How much are we contributing? How much we are adding to progress? How much we are adding to our wellness? And how much are we making our world even better? I am being very, very simple and very generic to the subject. But I'm sure as each one of us sit down, as we relate to our lives, as we understand that yes, we can do better, we can achieve bigger goals, and we can delight not just ourselves, but we can delight all around ourselves. I leave you with a very simple topic today, which is how tough is tough. And I'm sure that as each one of us sits down and relates to our life, as we gather, we will understand that yes, we can contribute more. We can understand that yes, we can make our environment better, we can make our wellness better, we can add more value. So, folks, I hope you like listening to my podcast. To go into my website, which is georgenathaniel.net, you can listen to my podcast on all platforms. You can read my blogs. And of course, leave an impression. I'll be happy to come back and talk about your topic or subject. It's all about wellness. It's all about contributing. It's all about adding our value in lives. Folks, I hope you like listening to my podcast. Do share, subscribe, and of course, I'll be happy to talk about things like I always say. I wish you all a wonderful period ahead. Keep shining, and of course, keep adding the extra value to our progress in life. I wish you all a wonderful day ahead. Thank you so much. This is George Nathaniel.